He's got you under his skin. Here's your look at the QMX. This is the QFig of Venom. Venom tussles with his darker impulses in this QFig diorama. The alien symbiote who had merged with investigative reporter Eddie Brock clings to a brick wall while contemplating his next move and drooling neon green slime. Will he save the day or destroy it? There's no telling which side of this merged life form will win out. As with all QMX QFig dioramas, this remarkable scene captures the character's spirit and essence from every angle and features specially hand-painted details. While we go ahead and figure out how tall the QMX QFig of Venom stands, I'd also like to send out a big thank you to the folks over at QMX who were nice enough to provide this sample that we're having a look at in this review. Stopping the tape measure at what I believe to be the tallest point, that would be the longest extension of slimy drool coming from his tongue, and looking at the trusty tape measure here, I'm telling you that the QFig of Venom stands impressively at 5 inches in height. And that in centimeters works out to be 12.7 centimeters tall. Picking up the QFig of Venom, and it seems the best place to always start these reviews is at the bottom base and work our way up until we get to the slimy mug of Venom himself. The base itself is rather simplistic. As you can see, it's just a circular black display base, and then you sort of get the foundation being built on top of that. I like that in the sense that it does feel like it's a decorative piece, and then you sort of have the start of the statue behind it. The front is all done in, like I said, a matte black, and you've got a nice band of recessed red running around the entire parameter. If you flip it up, you've got yourself Marvel Venom QFig, and then down below you've got QMX's website at www.qmxonline.com. Getting a gander at some of the nice details that they were able to incorporate into the brick wall face. You can see where there's a bit of concrete, and then the bricks are inside of that, and then the bricks have been applied down below as a two-tone effect for the building. Down below is where you really start seeing the craftsmanship that they've been able to incorporate in all the bricks, as each one appears to be unique from the one next to it. There's imperfections, as with each bricks generally are in real life, so that you don't see that they're perfect representations. You can see like some of them slope down, some of them are irregular in shape. You can see as well the filling, the caulking in between each one of them, the grout, I suppose, in between each one of the bricks. There's not a whole lot of color. They've pulled back the amount of color added to the bricks, sort of giving more the stylized design that goes along with the QMX QFigs. We can spin that around. And the idea with the QMX QFigs is that you get a 360 turnaround, in the sense that everything is finished on the figure. If you spin it around, you're not simply looking at a flat surface and undetailed, undefined Venom. No, you get everything happening. And like I said, no matter where you turn it, you get a little bit of Venom, a little bit of brick wall, and a whole lot of cool sculpting action happening. As I said, you've got the broken away section of the building there with some exposed bricks on the inside. There's nice detailing done to that. Even like little imperfections to the wall. There's like little cracks and indentations. Even the corner of the wall isn't a completely smooth surface. You can see like little areas in which it would have been broken off the side of the building here. I mean, calling this the side of the building could be rather a generous statement. It might not even be a side of the building at all. Maybe Venom just took a fancy to this one remaining wall area where everything else behind it is rubble and debris, for all we know. Additionally to that, you can see the front section, probably some additional concrete. It looks like maybe the sidewalk facing here. You never know, maybe this might even be a road. That's the beauty of looking at pieces like this. You can sort of spin yarns in your head as to how the scenario, how the story plays out. What I can certainly most definitely see is the fact there's some nice cracks and stuff that they've added to the surface. And even like the wall face. This section right here, done in gray, and this bottom section done here in gray as well, has some additional washing that they've added over top of it to kind of bring out a lot of those details we've already had a look at. You can see that there's a little bit of a, almost like a light brown, almost borderlining a light brownish gray that they've washed over top of it. As I said, just to bring out all those little indentations and little markings on the wall itself. Of course, what type of review would this be if we simply just looked at the wall for this entire video? We're not going to do that. As we can see, there is Venom hanging himself off. I'm guessing he's only hanging himself off the suctions from his feet, as it looks like his hands are free and able to move on their own. As you can see, most notably, some of the calling cards of Venom is presented here in the QFig version of him, by the fact that he does have the symbiote symbol there featured on the front, and he also does have that also on the back. Calling cards also can be included of the triangles that he's got on the tops of his hands. And then, of course, as we look at his mouth, he's going to have the notable Venom tongue as well. The coloring I want to note, though, is pretty primary. There's not additionally any additional highlights or lowlights to Venom here. He's painted all in a really matte black. I kind of like that you don't really have to add a whole lot of extra color. Often, sometimes companies feel so compelled to throw things at it, throwing things to the kitchen wall and seeing what sticks. Venom, I really don't think, if you're going to be more doing a stylized representation of him like they've done here, I don't think he really needed a whole lot of extra color. I mean, black and white, that's what you think of when you think of Venom, and maybe the occasional blue, but I really think it works best the fact that they kept it very neutral with the amount of paint that they put on his surface. Then we get, of course, to the main meat of the potatoes, the whole meat of the dish, and that is Venom's face. You can see he's got the open mouth with the extended out tongue. It's rather gross, though, the way that they've done the tongue. I don't know if there's boils on his tongue. It kind of even looks like he's got suction cups on his tongue itself. It's really gross, and it works perfectly for Venom. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the big long tongue on Venom, but it somehow surprisingly works well on this particular piece because it kind of inhabits its own amount of space. When you kind of look at the QFig, so much of the focal point is over here. It's not dead center. So really, it was smart that they moved Venom so far to the far left and then kind of had the tongue occupy the rest of the far right. It's really clever the way that they did that. As for his eyes, much like the rest of the white markings on his body, he doesn't have additional paint to it, just more so a really subtle white. It's not a bright white, it's a very subtle white. His teeth certainly don't mimic the exact same color. It almost kind of looks more like a off yellow or off beige color for his teeth. You can see the tendons on the sides of his mouth has extended quite open to be able to accommodate getting this very large tongue sticking out that I imagine even Gene Simmons would be jealous of. Look at the slime. Get a gander at the slime that's trickling its way underneath Venom's tongue. It's rather gruesome, it's rather grotesque, and it's so perfect for a piece like this. I kind of like that it has a personality for itself. Kind of even looks like it's forming the letter S or a slithering snake. I don't know how this would have perhaps happened, the fact that you've got a little bit of drool that's almost like shooting its way out. You would imagine he probably has quickly lashed out his tongue, and because he's the force of the slit, the tongue actually firing out the way that it did, has caused of this drool, of course, to be shooting off in that direction instead of just simply draping and drooping its way underneath the tongue. It's really neat the way that they did that. Now, when you've been collecting as long as I have, with as many things as I have, one thing that unfortunately becomes ever so apparent is the dwindling amount of space that you have left for new collectibles. The kind of beauty thing about the QFig releases is the fact that they don't take up a whole lot of space at all. In fact, just if I put Venom down for 1 second, and I bring in a can of Coke, that's an empty can of Coke, mind you, but it's a Coke nonetheless. You can see that Venom takes up about the same amount of space as a can of Coke. While I don't have a lot of space for large statues, I certainly have enough space for a can of Coke. And that's the beauty of the QFig releases, is that they're small, they're stylized, and they have just as much detail as the larger pieces, just in a more compact shape. I feel like in the recent years of collecting, my interest to get big and grand pieces have diminished slightly in favor of more smaller pieces. As you could probably guess it, I mean, it doesn't take any rocket scientist to know, smaller statues and collectibles take up a whole lot less space, and you can either collect more of them, or again, if you have dwindling space, they're sort of a great accent piece for things like desks, shelves in office spaces, and even things in like your kitchen, your entertainment room. Why not have Venom hanging out with you on your side table, right by the coasters and your can of Coke? The thing about it, though, is also the thing that's seemed to have piqued my curiosity in the last few years is also stylized figures. I'm not jumping completely to the idea of Funko Pop. In fact, quite the opposite. I've really grown so disinterested in the idea of collecting Funko Pops, but I like the idea around it. Super deformed, super stylized versions of some of my favorite characters, just in smaller representations. And that sort of is the calling card for QFigs. They're smaller pieces. They're cuter versions of those characters. And I would never really want to describe Venom with the word cute, nor do I feel like my friends would be coming over and saying, hey, that's a really cute Venom figure. Quite the contrary, but it just means that he's a little bit smaller than what you would normally expect with Venom. His head's a little bit bigger than what you'd normally expect from Venom. And overall, okay, I'll just say, he's a cuter looking Venom. The neat thing about these ones is that QFigs have covered a whole bunch of different territories, mostly Marvel, but they're certainly also branching off to other properties as well, such as Lord of the Rings. We'll be having a look at a couple of those upcoming pieces in some upcoming videos, so you can keep your peepers peeled for that. The neat thing about also Venom, if you're looking to pick up this one for yourself, he is starting to surface Q1 2020. So in other words, ergo, if he hasn't hit comic book stores just yet, be patient, he should be coming out to stores soon. For fans of Venom like me, I'm a big fan of Venom myself, this is a great piece to have in your collection. Small, yes, but sometimes good things, big things come in small packages. And I think this is a great example of that with cute Venom. Don't worry, I'm not going to call him cute Venom anymore. He is kind of cute though. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section of the QMX QFig Venom. Pretty neat looking piece, isn't it? If you guys are also interested in checking out more on this channel and haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and turn on the bell notification, as there's going to be future reviews. That seems strange, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. We all know there's going to be future reviews coming onto this channel throughout the year 2020. I still feel like I'm talking about the future with hoverboards and robotic dogs. We don't have either. It's 2020 and we don't have hoverboards and robotic dogs. Anyways, as always guys, thanks for watching as you always do, and I'll see you guys next time.